Hello, dear students. Hope you all will be fine. I'm your English teacher, Rabia Atif. Today, I will continue teaching the lesson Romeo Juliet Part 2 from Oxford Reading Circle, Book 8. Let's take a review of previous part of Romeo Juliet. We read about two rich families of Verona, that is, Capulets and Montagues. They had a feud between them and did not keep any relation to each other. Romeo, a Montag, went to a ball arranged by Capulets with his friends Benvolio and Mercutio. There he met a pretty lady of Capulets named Juliet. While Romeo was admiring Juliet, he was overheard by Tybalt, Juliet's cousin, who wanted to kill Romeo, but his uncle stopped him of doing so. Later, Romeo found the place where that pretty lady went and met her there. So he came to know that her name was Juliet and she belonged to the Capulet family. After getting the message of confirmation from Juliet that she wanted to marry him, Romeo went to his friend Friar Lawrence to make him ready for their marriage. Friar helped Romeo and Juliet and conducted their marriage secretly. After getting married, Juliet went to her home, getting the promise that Romeo would come to meet her at night. On the other side, Romeo's friends Mercutio met Tybalt, Juliet's cousin, and they had a fight in which Tybalt killed Mercutio. At the same time Romeo reached the place, he did not want a fight, but when he saw his friend dead, he also killed Tybalt. As a result, Romeo was banished from Verona by the prince. This all was the review. Now today we are going to begin the chapter again from page 65, the second last paragraph. I am going to read it for you, but before reading I would like to share the vocabulary words. Number 1, tidings, which means news. Number 2, slain, that means kill. Ravenous, starving. Contradictory means opposed. Resentment means displeasure. Mastery means control. Grief means sorrow. Banishment means expel. Acquainted means familiar. Let's read the second last paragraph on page number 65. When the tidings reached Juliet, she at first gave way to rage against Romeo, who had slain her dear cousin. She called him a beautiful tyrant, a ravenous dove, a lamb with a wolf's nature, and other contradictory names, which denoted the struggles in her mind between her love and her resentment. But in the end, love got the mastery, and the tears which she shed for grief that Romeo had slain her cousin turned to drops of joy that her husband lived. Then came fresh tears, and they were altogether of grief for Romeo's banishment. In this paragraph, we see that Juliet got the tidings or the news of the death of Tybalt, and at first she became very much sad about it, but later when she came to know that Romeo was alive, she was happy that her husband was living. Last two lines of this page, page 65, we are going to begin. Romeo had taken refuge in Friar Lawrence's cell, where he was first made acquainted with the prince's sentence. When Romeo was banished, he went to the cell of Friar Lawrence. Cell means the place where Friar Lawrence was living. So he went to take the refuge over there because the Prince of Verona has banished him. Let's go to page number 66. From the last line of page 65, we'll move to page 66. That is, to him it appeared there was no living out of the sight of Juliet. Heaven was there where Juliet left, and all beyond was torture, hell. For Romeo, it was a sad thing that he was banished and he was not able to meet Juliet again. So before continuing page 66 paragraph, I am going to share the vocabulary words with you. The first one is torture, which means ill treatment. Number 2, unseemly, that means improper. Number 3, revived, that means restore. Number 4, admonish, which means rebuke. Number 5, counseled, which means advise. And number 6, reconciling, which means restore friendly relations. Again, I'm going to continue reading page number 66, line number 3. Like a madman, he tore his hair and threw himself upon the ground to take the measure of his grave. From this unseemly state he was roused by a message from his dear lady, which a little revived him. And then the friar took the advantage to admonish him on the unmanly weakness which he had shown. Then, when Romeo was a little calmed, he counselled him that he should go that night and secretly take his leave of Juliet, and thence proceed to Mantua, and there stay till the friar found for occasion to publish his marriage, which might be a joyful meaning of reconciling their families. And then he did not doubt but the prince would be moved to pardon him, and he would return with 20 times more joy than he went forth with grief. Romeo was convinced by these wise counsels, and took his leave to go and seek his lady, proposing to stay with her that night, and at the daybreak pursue his journey alone to Mantua. In these lines we see that Romeo got like a madman, that he could not be able to meet his lady. But Friar advised him to at least go once to his lady, that is Juliet, at night, and spend the night with her, and then say farewell to her and leave for Mantua, so that Juliet could also be satisfied that one day again Romeo would come to take her. And in the meantime, Friar took the time to decide about what to do with them to make them reconciled again. Page number 66, second paragraph. Before reading second and third paragraph, again I would like to share the vocabulary words. Number 1, persuaded, which means convince. Number 2, nightingale, a small bird who sings melodious songs. It's a little in size. Number 3, tragedy, which means bad situation. Number 4, terrified, scared. Number 5, perplexity, which means confusion. Number 6, pleaded, which means begged. I am going to read from the second para of page number 66. That night Romeo passed with his dear wife. The unwelcome daybreak seemed to come too soon, and when Juliet heard the morning song of the lark, she would have persuaded herself that it was the nightingale. Romeo took his leave of his dear wife with a heavy heart, promising to write to her from Mantua every hour in the day. In this paragraph we see that Romeo is spending the whole night with his wife as advised by Friar Lawrence, and the night passed very fast, and as soon the day broke they both became sad because Romeo had to go to Mantua, leaving Juliet behind. So it was a sad situation, but they had to take this option so that Romeo could come back to meet his dear wife on any special, or you can say on any time which will be a reconciling between the two families. Let's read from the third para, page number 66. This was but the beginning of the tragedy. This means from here, from this part of the story, we are going with a tragedy. Tragedy means a bad situation where the both parties, or you can say Romeo and Juliet, are going to face the bad scenes. Romeo had not been gone many days before the old Lord Capulet proposed a match for Juliet. The husband he had chosen for her, not dreaming that she was married already, was Count Paris. Well, in this paragraph we see that while Romeo left for Mantua, a tragedy began when Lord Capulet, this means father of Juliet, chose a man with the name of Count Paris, who had no idea that Juliet was already married. So this Lord Capulet had already chosen him to be husband for Juliet, but this made Juliet a lot of terrified. Next paragraph says, the terrified Juliet was in sad perplexity at her father's offer, because she knew it already that she would not be able to marry again. She was already married. Again, I'm reading the last paragraph, page number 66. The terrified Juliet was in a sad perplexity at her father's offer. She pleaded every reason against the match but the true one, namely that she was married already. Juliet actually convinced her father not to take the option of making her marry again, or she would not be able to tell about her marriage, but she tried to stop her father so that she could not get married, but her father did not listen to her. I'm on the last line of page number 66. But the Lord Capulet was deaf to all her excuses and ordered her to get ready, for by the following Thursday she should be married to Paris. Father of Juliet did not listen to her and asked her to get ready by Thursday for her marriage. This made Juliet a lot of sad and sorrowful. Now we are on page number 67. Before starting the first para of page 67, I would like to read the vocabulary words. Number 1, resolution, which means decision. Number 2, desperate, that means hopeless. Number 3, consent, which means agreement. Number 4, fetch, which means to bring. Number 5, vault, which means dome. This means a place where the rich people, or you can say the Capulets family, are going to put their dead bodies. I'm reading from page number 67, the first paragraph. Juliet applied to the friar, always her counselor in distress, and he asked her if she had resolution to undertake a desperate remedy. He directed her to go home and give her consent to marry Paris, and on the night before the marriage to drink of the contents of a phial which he then gave her, the effect of which would be that for 42 hours after drinking it she should appear cold and lifeless, and when the bridegroom came to fetch her, he would find her to appearance dead. That then she would be buried in the family vault, that if she could consent to this terrible trial in 42 hours after swallowing the liquid, she would be sure to awake as from a dream, and before she should awake he would let her husband know, and he should come in the night and bear her to Mantua. Love gave young Juliet strength to undertake this horrible adventure. In this paragraph we see Juliet was too much depending on Friar, who was always a counselor to her problems, so she went and asked him what to do. Friar advised her to go home and tell her parents that she was ready to get married with Count Paris, but later he also gave her a liquid which she is going to swallow, and she would become lifeless, or you can say she could become like a dead person for 42 hours. And on the advice of Friar Lawrence, Juliet took that liquid. She went home and gave her consent to, or you can say the agreement to her parents, that she was ready to get married with Count Paris. And then before Thursday came, on Wednesday night, what she did, she just ready to get the liquid which she brought from Friar Lawrence, and she would become lifeless for 42 hours. We are on page number 67. Before reading from the third paragraph of page 67, I would like to share the vocabulary words. They are new for you. If you'll get the meaning, you will be able to understand the paragraph. Number 1, desperately, which means seriously. Number 2, draft, which means liquid. Number 3, insensible, which means unconscious. Number 4, dreary, which means depressing. Spectacle, which means show or display. Number 6, reigned, which means in power. Number 7, funerals, which means ceremony after person's death. Number 8 is mention, which means residence. I am on page number 67, reading from the third para. On Wednesday night, Juliet desperately swallowed the draught and became insensible. When young Paris came with music to awaken his bride, instead of a living Juliet, her chamber presented a dreary spectacle. What confusion then reigned through the whole house! Poor Paris lamented his bride. Juliet was borne to church to swell the dreary numbers of the dead. Bad news, which always travels faster than good, now brought the story of his Juliet's death to Romeo at Mantua. Before the messenger could arrive, who was sent from Friar Lawrence to apprise him that these were mock funerals only, and that his dear lady lay in the tomb but for a short while, expecting when Romeo would come to release her from that dreary mansion. In these paras, we see that Juliet swallowed the draught or the liquid which she brought from Friar before her marriage, and when the bridegroom came to fetch her, he found her dead. Already Juliet was not dead, but it was seemed that she became cold and lifeless because of that liquid. Now everybody got mourned, and that bridegroom Count Paris was lamenting his bride. This bad news travels faster to Romeo before the news from Friar Lawrence reached Romeo, who is going to tell him that this was only a drama they are creating so that the marriage could be stopped. So what happened? The news of Juliet's death reached faster to Romeo before the news from Friar Lawrence reached him. Let's go to page number 68. Here we have got the vocabulary words. Number 1, apothecary, which means the person who prepare and sell medicine. You can say a pharmacist. Number 2, dispatch, which means finish. Here you can also see the picture of a woman and 2 men. Let's see who are they. Romeo ordered horses to be got ready. As soon as Romeo got the news of Juliet's death, which faster, he made his horses ready. Again, I am beginning the reading. Romeo ordered horses to be got ready, for he determined that night to see his lady in her tomb. And he called upon a poor apothecary, who sold him a poison, which if he swallowed would quickly dispatch him. Now what Romeo did when he heard about Juliet's death, he also took poison from the pharmacist, so that as soon he goes and find Juliet's dead body in the tomb, he also took poison and become dead. Page number 68, second paragraph. The difficult words are monument, that means memorial place where the dead bodies are kept. Number 2, interrupted, made discontinuous. Number 3, desist, which means hold back. Number 4, criminal, which means offender. Number 5, condemned, which means sentenced to death. Number 6, apprehended, which means catch. Page number 68, second paragraph. With this poison, he set out for Verona to have a sight of his dear lady in her tomb, and then to swallow the poison and be buried by her side. He reached the churchyard at Verona at midnight and found the ancient tomb of the Capulet. He was proceeding to break open the monument when he was interrupted by the young Count Paris, who had come to weep over the grave. He knew not what an interest Romeo had in the dead, but knew him to be a Montague. In an angry tone, he bade him desist, and as a criminal condemned by the laws of Verona to die if he were found within the walls of the city, he would have apprehended him. Romeo urged Paris to leave him, but the Count refused. They fought, and Paris fell. When Romeo came to see who it was that he had slain, that it was Paris, who he learned on his way from Mantua should have married Juliet. Up till here we see that while Romeo came to Verona, to the graveyard, or you can say to the monument where Juliet was kept, he had the bottle of poison in his hand. As he reached there, Count Paris also reached. Count Paris actually came to grieve upon the grave of Juliet, and at the same time Romeo also reached the grave. They both reached at the same time, and when Count Paris saw him, he did not know what interest Romeo had in the dead body, or what relation Romeo had with Juliet. He did not know about it actually, but he only knew that he was a Montague, and while he was a Montague, he only knew that whenever a Montague is seen inside the city of Verona who is banished, he must be killed. So Romeo asked him not to interrupt him, but Paris refused. So they both fought, and Romeo killed Paris. Now it was again a beginning of the tragedy. Page 68, last line I'm going to read. He took the dead youth by the hand and said that he would bury him in Juliet's grave, which he now opened. And there lay his lady in her matchless beauty, and near her lay Tybalt in his bloody shroud, whom Romeo seeing begged pardon of his lifeless corpse. Romeo took his last leave of his lady and swallowed the poison whose operation was fatal. Shroud means covered, and fatal means deadly. So Romeo, when he killed Count Paris, he said that I would also bury him with Juliet. And when he opened the grave and he saw Juliet's body lying over there, with Juliet's body there was also the body of Tybalt lying there with a bloody shroud, and Romeo got upset with all that. And what he did while watching and taking the hand of Juliet in his hand, he swallowed the poison which he brought from the pharmacist, and that poison was fatal, which soon put him to death. Page 69, the next para I am going to read for you. For now the hour was arrived at which the friar had promised that she should awake. And he, having learned that his letters had never reached Romeo, came himself to deliver the lady from her confinement. But he was surprised to find a light already burning in the Capulets' monument, and to see swords and blood near it, and Romeo and Paris lying breathless by the monument. In this para we find two difficult words. Number one is confinement, which means imprisonment, and number two is monument, which means memorial place, or a place where dead bodies are kept. Now 42 hours were completed, and it was time for Juliet to come to life again. And when she came to life, she saw two dead bodies near the grave, or near the place where she was kept. One was of Romeo's and one was of Paris. They both were breathless, and Juliet came to know that they both were dead. Page number 69. I'm reading the third para of page number 69. Before reading again, I would like to share the vocabulary words. Number one is conjecture, which means guess. Unsheathed, which means uncover. Dagger, sharp weapon. Stabbing, killing with knife. Uproar means loud noise. Apprehended means capture. Trembling means shiver with fear. Number 8, transactions, which means affairs. Page number 69, third paragraph. Before he could conjecture how these fatal accidents had fallen out, Juliet awoke out of her trance and asked for Romeo, but the friar, hearing the noise of people coming, fled. When Juliet saw the cup closed in her true love's hand, she guessed that poison had been the cause of his end, and she would have swallowed the dregs if any had been left. She quickly unsheathed a dagger which she wore, and stabbing herself, died by her true Romeo's side. In this para we see when Juliet came to life again, she saw the dead bodies and she became very troubled, while Friar also reached there and she tried to ask him, but because of the people coming to the tomb, Friar hid himself, and Juliet did not come to know how the death occurred. So what she did, she took the bottle of the poison from Romeo's hand and she also swallowed that poison. Not only she swallowed the poison from Romeo's bottle, but she also unsheathed, means uncovered, the dagger which was she wearing, and she stabbed herself, and she also died over there. Last paragraph, page 69 says, the watch by this time had come up to the place. A page had given the alarm which had spread among the citizens. The uproar brought Lord Montague and Lord Capulet out of their beds with the prince to inquire into the causes of the disturbance. The friar had been apprehended, coming from the churchyard, trembling, sighing, and weeping. And there, in the presence of the old Lord Montague and Capulets, he related the story of their children's fatal love. The remainder of the transactions was supplied by the page who had seen Paris and Romeo fight, and by the servant who came with Romeo from Verona. In the last paras of this chapter, we see now the guards also came. The watch means the guards. The guards also came to the tomb. The Lord Montague and Lord Capulets also reached the tomb, and the Prince of Verona also reached the tomb after hearing all these deadly things that happened over there. And everybody saw the dead bodies of Romeo and Count Paris and Juliet lying there, and they all were sad, and now it was a very much deadly situation there. Page number 70, the last paragraph I'm going to read for you. Before that, the vocabulary words are rebuked, which means scold, irrational means unreasonable, enmities means hostility, scourge means whip, offenses means angers, rivals means opponent, strife means conflict. The vocabulary words are rebuked, irrational, enmities, scourge, offenses, rivals, and strife. The last para of this chapter says, "And the prince, turning to these old lords Montague and Capulet, rebuked them for their irrational enmities, and showed them what a scourge heaven had laid upon such offences." Scourge means the curse. "That it had found mean even through the love of their children to punish their unnatural hate. And these old rivals agreed to bury their long strife in their children's grave." That is the end of the chapter, and the end of the chapter says the prince came and he scolded both the lords, the Lord Capulet and the Lord Montague, and told them that because of their silly, you can say the feud between them that started many years before, had taken their children's lives. The moral of the story. What is the moral behind the story in Romeo and Juliet? This is what I think. The moral behind the story in Romeo and Juliet is to let old prejudices go and to not let emotions control one's life. If the Capulets and Montagues had let their family rivalries stay in the past and had not let their emotions dictate their actions, it is likely that Romeo and Juliet would not have died as they did. It means if both the Lords Capulets and the Montagues would not have made a little thing feud between them, or they would not have such contradictions between them, their children would have lived that time. So the moral is we should not let old prejudices go and to not let emotions control one's life. This means our emotions should not control our life. We should think, we should be in conscience first, and then we should take out a result of anything in our life. So this is the moral, that we should not keep the old angers and old prejudices in our minds so that it could not harm anyone. The home task for you is, in the first part we have done question number 1, 2 and 3. Now you have got question number 4, 5 and 6. I am going to read them for you. Question number 4 is, why did Juliet take her own life? This question will be answered on page 69. Question 5. Do you think the Capulets and the Montagues had to pay too heavy a price for their enmity? This is the question for which you have to answer according to your own will. What do you think about it, that Capulets and Montagues had to pay a heavy price, or what? You have to answer in your own words. And question number 6 said, what lesson do you think play can teach you? Moral already I have given you, but if you think that there is any other lesson or moral, you can write on your own. So in question number 6 you can write, what lesson did you get from this chapter? A note for students: all the work must be done in literature copy because marks will be given. Thank you and God bless you all.